welcome to lesson 2 of the Always Use Auto course. I hope you enjoyed lesson 1, which was on ISO, and now lesson 2 we're going to look at shutter speed in terms of freezing or blurring action. In today's lesson we are going to look at shutter speed and how you can freeze action or blur action. What's shutter speed, I hear you ask? After the light passes through the lens, it travels through the little doors that cover the sensor. This is where our image is recorded. You choose how long these little doors are open for. This is essentially shutter speed. The shutter speed can range greatly. You could have a long exposure of 30 seconds or a very short exposure of 1/4000th of a second. The range you have will vary per camera. As a quick guide, you can handhold the camera from about a shutter speed of 1/60th onwards. Lower than that you will always need a tripod. This is because of handshake. Today's lesson will be performed on a tripod to take away that variable of the handshake. When I work as an event photographer, I rarely use a tripod, whereas a landscape photographer would probably use one every time. So let's get on with the practical lesson. So now we're going to the practical session. I want you to put your camera on shutter speed priority, which on a Canon will have the letters TV. I want you to also put your ISO on auto, which is an A. Okay, so the aperture and the ISO, don't worry about what I'm saying, but those things are on automatic, and what we're doing is we are just manually changing the shutter speed. And I want to show you how shutter speed can blur something out. Imagine you want to blur something out, like perhaps a waterfall, or you want to get a feeling of speed. And I also want to show you how you can capture action. Imagine the dog or the children running around the garden. So as we go through, look at each picture that you take and imagine how you could apply that in real life to something you want to photograph. So have a look at the screen, the settings screen, which could be at the top or the LCD, depending on which camera you're using. And I want you to put it onto 1 whole second. And you know it's a whole second because there's 2 little dots. There'll be a 1 with then 2 little sort of speech marks, okay? Select that. And now I want you to get a friend or whoever and go in front of you and just get them to wave every single time. Just want the person to be in the same place, same position, and just wave. Okay, so you ready? You've got the camera, 1 second, press, take the photo. So what you can see is a very blurred photo. The first photo in general will have a bit of motion blur in the person. The hand will be very blurred, if they even have a hand. So this is a really blurred photo, and it's because the little doors, the shutter speed doors, were open for 1 whole second. So next I want you to change that number to 4. 1 whole 4, just a 4. Okay, take it again. Have a look at the picture. The hand will still be very, very blurred. Okay, now I want you to put it on number 8. Look again. Is there an arm forming or any fingers? How's it looking? Now I want you to change it to 30. How's that looking now? Now to 60, which means 1/60th of a second. You now start to see a little bit more detail in the fingers, in the hand, and generally it starts to look like a better image, arguably. Now change it to 125, that's 125th of a second. Slowly you'll get a bit more clarity in the hand and the fingers, even more so. Now I want you to go to 250. How's that looking? Now on to 500. If you look now at 500, actually we're starting to get quite a sharp hand, and if you zoom into the picture, you look on the back of the camera or in your edit suite after, that actually we're getting pretty close to freezing the action. But it's surprising, until you zoom in, you don't realise how far you actually have to go. So let's go to 640. So we're on 640. Sometimes you can freeze some action at 640, and I have used that professionally. It depends on how much light you've got. But in this situation, it's a nice day, so we've got the breathing room to go up to 800. So let's go to 800. And it's there or thereabouts. And let's just go to 1,000. I mean, you can keep going and going, but at 1,000, you should have a pretty sharp hand. Unless somebody in your family waves really, really fast, you should have some nice sharp fingers now. Everything should be nice and sharp. So you have used shutter speed to freeze action at the end, and at the start you use shutter speed to blur action. That is it. Many thanks. So as you can see, the shutter speed needs to be fairly fast for you to be able to freeze action. If you want to blur action, like a waterfall, you'd need around 1 to 3 seconds, and see how you go for there in terms of exposure. Our next lesson will be on shutter speed again, but this time its effect on exposure. I hope to see you there.